don't ever should on yourself. And in this video, I'm going to talk about the 2 ways that musicians most often should on ourselves. My name is Josh Gu, and I'm taking my years of experience learning, teaching, and performing, and sharing all of my best clarinet and music tips so you can get more out of your practice, and most importantly, have fun. You can learn more about all of my many resources at QuickStartClarinet.com, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit the bell to get notified when I post new videos. So besides being a funny phrase, what does it actually mean to should on ourselves, and why shouldn't we do it? There, I went and did it saying we shouldn't do it, but why do I want you to not do it? What shoulding is saying, oh, I should do this, or I should be able to do this, or this should happen. And I think it's a great fundamental of unpleasantness and disappointment and kind of the underlying cause of all our disappointment in life. Because when we say that we should do something or should be able to do something or something should happen a certain way, we're putting our expectations on it. And we're saying, I'm expecting to be able to do this, or I'm expecting this to happen. And then if it doesn't happen, then we feel really bad. And that's what I mean by sort of the source of all disappointment and unsatisfaction in life is when we're expecting something else happens, and there's that disconnect of disappointment. This is really, really important in a musician's life in 2 ways. When it comes to practicing, number 1, and when it comes to how we're actually working on our music in our practice. So when it comes to practicing, that's the idea of, oh, I really should practice now. Oh, I should probably practice more. Oh, I should have practiced this last weekend before the audition. Things like that. That sort of shoulding on ourselves for when we're actually going to practice leads us down the path of not actually practicing. It's similar to that great quote of Master Yoda's, the do or do not, there is no try. It's that same idea of don't say you should practice, either do practice or don't practice. When we're in that state of, oh, I really should be practicing, that's a state of guilt and disappointment because we're expecting that we should be practicing, but we clearly aren't. So we have that sort of internal struggle and that conflict there. What we need to do instead is say, I'm going to practice now, or I'm going to practice later, or I'm not going to practice today. And it's totally fine to not practice. The reason why you feel guilty about not practicing and feel like you should practice is, again, because you have that expectation that you should practice every single day or practice a certain amount of hours or whatever your expectation is. And yes, it's true that you need to put in the time to get better. And if you want to be a great player, then you better practice and you better commit the time to it. But do or do not. Don't try. Don't should. Do or do not practice. So either schedule it or say you're not going to do it and accept that decision and feel good about that. It's also interesting because should puts us in that limbo zone of I should practice, which leaves open the possibility that maybe I will practice, but also maybe I won't practice. And you're in that lane of indecision. The lane of indecision is an unpleasant place to be as well because you have guilt pulling you towards I should practice. If I want to be the clarinetist or musician that I dream of being, that person needs to practice. I don't feel like practicing. I want to binge some more Netflix. That's going to feel better in the moment. It's sort of the long-term versus the short-term conflict. And you're shoulding on yourself in the middle in between that zone of conflict being pulled towards what feels good now and what's going to get the results that you want in the long term. And it's totally okay to do what feels good now. You don't have to always be the most efficient, the most effective, always practicing at your maximum amount. It's okay to say, no, you know what? I'll have plenty of time in my life. I can practice later, and I'm going to actually practice later. So I'm going to go with the easy thing and go with what feels good now. Absolutely fine. Nothing wrong with that. And when you commit to one decision either way, you're going to feel so much better. It's when you're in between saying I should practice that you feel guilty, that you feel stress, that it feels like you should be doing something that you're not doing. So do or do not. Commit to practicing or commit to not practicing. and stick with it. One other bonus tip for this sort of idea of when to practice and shooting on yourself, instead of saying, I should practice, I should go practice, say, no, I'm going to do what I'm doing now. I'm going to be lazy. I'm going to watch a few more episodes or whatever you're doing, but then schedule it. That's a great way to relieve that pressure and to commit. No, I'm not practicing right now. This isn't my practice time. I'm going to practice at whatever time, and you're going to set that and you're going to commit to it. And then when that time rolls around, don't be like, oh yeah, I put that time in my calendar. I guess I should go do it. Don't should, just go do. Do or do not. There is no should. That's the new quote. That's Master Josh's quote. Do or do not. There is no should. So that's about when to practice. Then there's also a really important aspect of shoulding on ourselves when it comes to when we're actually practicing. So when you're in the practice room, you're playing through something, you're trying to do it at a certain tempo, you're trying to get a certain style to the articulation, you're trying to get a certain intonation, whatever it may be, and you're saying to yourself, I should be able to play this fast. I was able to do this yesterday. I should be able to do it today. And that gets really dangerous as well, because that, again, is a break in our expectations from reality, where we're expecting that we should be able to do something a certain way, but in reality, it's not happening and we're not getting it that certain way. And then we feel disappointed with ourselves, we get frustrated, we get tired, and we want to just give up. What we need to do instead of shoulding on ourselves is we need to accept where we actually are, accept how it's actually going for us in the moment, and work from there. This really ties in nicely to Carol Dweck's idea of growth versus fixed mindset. A fixed mindset is this idea that we're just static and stable. Our talent and ability is here, and it's always going to be here. And pretty much whenever we do something, whenever we try a scale, whenever we do a performance, that's kind of a test of, are we actually where we should be? And people with a fixed mindset don't like to put themselves out there and don't like to take those risks and try those things, because everything is an opportunity to prove that they actually shouldn't be there or actually aren't at that level. And it will also often happen where if you aren't able to do something at a certain tempo, then your fixed mindset says, well, I can't do it, so I can't do it, and I'm never going to be able to do it. Whereas on the other hand, a growth mindset is the idea of you can constantly be learning and constantly be growing and changing, and it's not always linear either. I think that's actually a fixed mindset idea of you should linearly improve. A true growth mindset accepts that it's not linear and that you're always wherever you actually are, and wherever you actually are, you have the potential to grow. So somebody with a growth mindset will be really eager to take on new opportunities and challenge themselves and try new and different things, because it's an opportunity to learn from it. Whether they're successful or not, they have the opportunity to learn from it. So they go for those experiences. And whenever you find yourself in the practice room saying, I should be able to do this, you should acknowledge that that is a fixed mindset rather than a growth mindset, because the fixed mindset says, my talent and ability is here, the difficulty of this exercise is here, I should be able to do it. I was able to do this level yesterday, I should be able to do this level or even a bit better today. That's that linear growth of I should get better every day, but that's actually a fixed mindset in disguise, because you're expecting one level that you should be at, and then if you're not there, it's disappointing. So whenever you find yourself saying should, I want you to reframe it to acceptance and accepting where you are today. Just because you were able to play this passage at a certain tempo yesterday does not mean that you should be able to do it today. And this totally refreshes and reframes how practicing feels, because it's not like working towards an artificial deadline of someday I'm going to be able to do this and I'm going to be able to do it every time and then I'm going to get better from there. It's a constant exploration and experimentation and meeting yourself where you are and then working on it from there. You have lots of good practice techniques and practice strategies and things that you're able to do to improve. So meet yourself where you are and then improve from there, rather than trying to play at this level, but you're playing at this level, but you should be able to play at this level, and then just getting frustrated that you aren't playing at that level. Instead, you need to accept, okay, today it's not feeling great at that tempo. I'm just going to go slower and go slower until I find a tempo that it's feeling good at and bring the expectation down. Okay, now I'm there. Now I can step forward and actually make progress and grow in your playing. So hopefully that gives you some food for thought in a couple ways that you should not should on yourself, or just don't should on yourself. Do or do not. There is no should. Don't should on yourself. Actually schedule your practice time or commit to not practicing. Meet yourself where you are in your practice, accept what your current level of playing is at, and then use your strategies and techniques for improving to build yourself up from there and learn from what's not working that day. I hope that this has been helpful. Let me know in the comments what your biggest takeaways are, or if there's any other ways that you see musicians constantly shitting on themselves, or ways that you should on yourself in your practice and your music journey. Thanks so much for watching this video, and I look forward to seeing you in another one. And last but not least, a huge heartfelt thank you to the Dennersons. This is like the QuickStart Clarinet family who supports the channel and helps to make everything that I do possible. If you would like to support the channel and get some awesome rewards in return, where we can work one-on-one over video and you can have my full support moving forward on your clarinet journey, then go to quickstartclarinet.com/supporter.